Hello everyone and welcome to the first Suffolk Business Podcast with your hosts Media Bros. We are at Hindlesham Golf Club who have kindly sponsoring the podcast. What the podcast is all about, Jake, explain to them.
Yeah, so basically what we wanted to do is interview loads of different business owners in Suffolk, hear about their stories, hear about their experiences, and also their life as an entrepreneur as well, and what that brings, whether there's any highs, lows, anything like that. And what's good is that we get to meet loads of interesting people and hear about all their different stories.
100%. Today for our first podcast we have Kerry Wheeler from KW Sports Massage. Hello Kerry.
Hiya, how?
So Kerry, let's kick it off. Let's just dive straight into it. Tell us a bit about KW Sports Massage, what you do, where you're based, etc.
Okie dokie. So, as Jack said, I'm Kerry from KW Sports Massage. I am a sports massage therapist, but I also offer Swedish massage and pregnancy massage. I'm also a clinical Pilates instructor and an NLP practitioner, a neuro-linguistic programmer. So I bring together that kind of mind and body, if you like, rather than treating everything individually. I'm based in Ipswich. I've got a clinic in my garden in West Ipswich, and I also work with a local physiotherapy practice in Hadley. So yeah, I get to see lots and lots of people. I also run a couple of Pilates classes in Great Blakenham, so really local.
Yeah, amazing. How is the NLP stuff going? And explain to people what exactly that is.
Oh, that's so difficult.
Yeah, I know.
It's something that actually a lot of the practitioners I speak to, we all really struggle with it because it's really individual. So neuro-linguistic programming in its sort of basic form, I suppose, is about rewiring the brain. It's about creating those neural pathways that, for me, I think help you live your best or become the best version of yourself. So it's fascinating. It can help with all sorts of things, whether you're just struggling with things generally a little bit, if you're a bit of a career pathway and you're like, I don't know where I'm going or whether I need to change direction, if you're struggling with relationships or phobias, there's so many uses for NLP. But I find I use it just in my everyday language with my clients as they're, being massaged or put through Pilates, whatever. So it's got such a wide use. It's a really broad kind of treatment, if you like. It's a talking therapy, but it's a massively broad thing that can be used in so many different ways.
Yeah.
I love it.
When did it all start as well? That's what I'm really interested in. Where did this whole love for sports massage therapy all come from, or did you kind of come onto it organically?
And it's really interesting because when I was thinking about this podcast, I was thinking about my career history, and it's been very varied. When you look at it, if you looked at it as a CV, you'd be like, why? How has she gone from that to that to that? But everything kind of works its way, and everything made sense at the time. So the whole massage world came out of my divorce, weirdly. I'm not very good at sitting at home on my own, and I was in the police at the time, and I started doing like these the home parties and skincare and cosmetics and all that sort of stuff. Did a little bit of facial training so that I could do a proper facial treatment, and everyone kept saying, oh, do you do massage? And I was like, no. And in the end, I just got so fed up with people asking that I'm just going to go and do my training. Yeah. So I did my Swedish massage training, fell in love with it. And so then I took it on to the sports massage and then fell in love with it even more. So I then pursued that a little bit further. And I never intended it to become a business. It was always just something to do in my spare time, and started off just treating friends and family. And then before you knew it, suddenly it was friends of friends, and then friends of friends of friends, and word of mouth was just awesome.
When was this? What kind of year?
So I've been fully employed or self-employed for just over 2 years now. So I did my training back in 2014. So it was a slow burn. It wasn't. It was never intended to be a business. So it just kind of ticked over in my spare time, and it was actually Jack that gave me the kick to make the jump from the police. It was. It's literally, I've trained with Jack for a couple of years, and we were in a session one evening with my mum, and we're just trottling along on the old cross trainer, and he just turned around and said, Kerry, why are you still in the police? And my mum turned around and looked at me and just thought, yeah, why are you? And it just...
So it was like that kind of epiphany moment, you kind of needed that to push you on.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I'd kind of been stewing about, and I had reduced my hours with the police and things like that. so that I could do more massage. But I'd never really had the confidence or the belief in taking that final jump, to go from an employed job where you earn a decent wage. You've got the perks of pensions and sick leave and holiday pay and all that lovely stuff.
Yeah, we don't see any of that.
No, exactly. And, so to then go, actually, could I do this? Could I actually make this a proper job, a proper business, and still be able to pay my mortgage and eat? But it took that kind of, I think, somebody else on the outside to kind of go, you can do that. And also the support of my family was really important. I'm on my own, so I haven't got that second income coming into the house. And I think that's probably one of the biggest challenges that I know we're going to talk about, but that risk, I suppose, was significant to suddenly not have that regular pay packet coming in. And I think that for me was one of the biggest things.
Let's move on to challenges, because all entrepreneurs have difficulties in their company and speed bumps they need to get over. But you talked about being in the police, and then you talked about moving on to full-time self-employment. Talk to us about whether you've been challenged to go back to the police, or I know there's been times in your life where you've gone, this is a struggle. Yeah. Shall I just jump back into police and take the easy route out? But all of those times you've said no, which is strong.
That's the hardest thing,
and seriously admirable. Yeah,
to go from that kind of stable job, like you said, to starting your own business. Like I always say that I was quite lucky in the sense that I kind of went straight from. I kind of fell into entrepreneurship. I didn't really have that 9-to-5 job that I had, because I think if I had that, I'd have got really comfortable. And this is why I always empathise with people that talk to me and say, I'm thinking about starting a business. I'm in a job at the moment. I don't know when is the right step to get out of it. And I always have so much respect for them. So what has been?
The interesting thing, I think what I did was, because I knew that I needed to earn X amount of pounds to pay my bills and to live a vaguely comfortable life. What I did was actually took a little part-time job where I had a little bit of income coming in. Yeah. So even though it was only a small contribution to the monthly requirement, if you like, I knew I had something coming in. And so basically could then ease into it a little bit rather than that complete jump. But within a few months, realistically, that became unrealistic. Yeah. And I then changed.
It's taking completely. One step back to take 2 forward, isn't it? Sometimes you have to take that sacrifice financially, but know that you've got more time that opens up, and then you can focus on everything else.
But you talk about challenges, Jack. So yeah, absolutely. What I found was there were times when perhaps I wasn't as busy, or I went on holiday, which is always a bit of a luxury.
It's a huge challenge.
It is, because, in the run up to the holiday, you're thinking, oh my goodness, I'm taking, 2 weeks off or whatever. I need to cover that expense. I need to, because it's kind of a double whammy when you work for yourself, because not only have you got the expense of the holiday, you're not earning for those 2 weeks. So
and you worry also about retaining clients once you get back.
Absolutely.
If they've got a problem, they might go somewhere else, and then suddenly it's a problem.
I think for me, it has been quite a bumpy couple of years. And there have definitely been times when I've just like, what am I doing? I think it's very easy to become overwhelmed. And the biggest thing for me, probably about 4-6 months ago, I was so busy, which was excellent. Busy in my business, treating clients, seeing clients. And that's amazing. That's where we all want to be. What nobody tells you when you become a business owner is that you have to be an expert in massage, NLP, Pilates, whatever. But you also need to become an expert in running a business. So you're suddenly an accountant, marketing expert, PR, social media, admin assistant. You're just all these millions of things, and it all takes time. So whilst you're trying to fill your books with clients, suddenly you're then also doing all these other things, and it all takes time. And I think I found myself in a position where I suddenly realized I just was never switching off. I was always thinking about the business. I was either treating, or I was planning, thinking, oh, I must do this, I need to do that, which is all terrible NLP language, the musts and the needs and the have to. But, you know, it literally was sitting in the back of my mind all the time, and I was finding it really hard to switch off. And that's where that whole overwhelm came in. And I just thought, what am I doing? You know, constantly thinking about the business, which, yes, you're always going to a degree, but there was never that switch off. There was never that rest. I would sit and watch TV, but I'd have the laptop on my lap, or I would be, you know, writing something down. There was always other stuff going on. And I think what I've learned is a really important part out of that is to take time out for myself. I have to take myself away from the business. And whilst having those holidays, or that holiday, is a luxury, actually it's a really important thing for me, because it gives me space to breathe, to rest and recover, which is something I'm always talking about with clients. You know, if you're overtraining,
it's often what happens is that you become like a hypocrite, because you give all this information out and then you're not actually doing it yourself.
Absolutely, you're overtraining. You need to just wind it back, allow rest and recover. But that time allows me to take myself out of the business to just kind of refocus. And yes, I've thought a million times about going back to the police, because it's, in theory, easy. You know, it's a job sitting there waiting for me. I know how much I'll earn. I know how to do the job. You know, it's easy. Would I be happier there? Probably not. You know, and it is nice to be able to go, actually, do you know what, Thursday morning I'm going to go and see Jack and Jake and do a podcast. Or actually, I'm going to go and have cuddles with my new niece, or, you know, whatever. I might just take next week off. You know, it's the pros and cons, isn't it?
Freedom and flexibility.
I think we always, don't we? We always, as self-employed people, we always compare the other side, and then we always think about the good stuff.
Yeah.
And when we're in it, actually, we try to not. What happens is we don't often think about the bad stuff that goes on the side and the sacrifices you have to make. I always say, with everything good, you have to make some kind of a sacrifice. Obviously, we talked about being self-employed and having to actually be fully operational and do all those kind of things like you said, but also be in the business. But there's other things that, you know, aren't quite as easy. You know, when we talk about a full-time job, then there's so many different things that come alongside with that are actually bad. Like you're capped, your financial level's capped. Whereas what we do, you know, at any moment you can get an opportunity that comes through the door and you're like, yes, this is the one, and it takes you up to another level. And it's almost like a game. We always call it a bit of a game, then we're like a role-playing game. Like you go through different levels, you go through different chapters, and you meet new people who help you along, and all this kind of thing. And I think there's that excitement and there's that process, which, like you said, you don't get with another full-time job. And obviously, as a business owner, you get to experience that every day.
And I think it's really important to notice that every business goes through highs and lows.
Absolutely.
Tom Billieu, I put something on Instagram the other day. Tom Billieu, who's got an amazing podcast, The Impact Theory, he showed a video on his Instagram the other day with a marble going down a straight line and a marble going up and down, up and down, up and down. And that marble reached its destination a lot quicker than the straight line marble. Absolutely. So it shows that the highs and lows, you'll always move at a faster pace.
Absolutely. And you're right, Jake, it is exciting, as, you know, stressful as it can be sometimes. It is exciting. You know, I'm going through a very exciting phase at the moment. Should we talk about that now?
Let's talk about it.
Yeah,
absolutely. Go.
So yeah, I'm Kerry from KW Sports Massage, but as we've already alluded to, I do so much more than that. And in the back of my mind for a little while, there's been something brewing, and I've made the decision to rebrand. It's a bit of a brave move, I suppose, for a small business, but I think I've outgrown KW Sports Massage. If I'm talking about NLP, it seems silly to be branding that alongside KW Sports Massage. It doesn't make sense. It's not congruent for me. So I am literally, I've just seen the first draft of my new website. It is exciting. It's very exciting. I sat there and opened it with kind of some degree of trepidation and then just went, oh my gosh, I love it. So KW Sports Massage will be kind of phased out, and launch date is actually yet to be decided, but Keep Well is going to be the new company name. Little play on the KW. So Keep Well is my company name, and then we'll sub-brand from there with the sports injuries, the massage, the Pilates, and the mindset. So Keep Well is going to be like a holding company, and then everything else sort of sits under that, like
a little like Virgin.
Exactly like Vogue. That's how I explain it when I'm trying to explain it to like my parents. I'm like, so it'll be like keep well like Virgin, and then you have Virgin Media, Virgin Money, etc., etc. So yeah, exactly like that. But it's all very exciting. I've got a great team of people behind me that have helped me to create the look and the feel of what I'm trying to
So everyone needs to keep an eye out for Keep Well on your socials. Yeah.
Absolutely. There'll be a big amount of work that will come in.
Estimation, how long?
Within the next couple of weeks. That will be certainly before Christmas.
Close.
We really are imminent.
By the time this goes out, then Keep Well will be
Keep Well.
Yeah, quite possibly. Yeah, depending on when you put this out. So yeah, but like going back to what we were saying, it is exciting. It's hard work, but it's exciting, and you're in control. Which sometimes when you're on your own is quite difficult, but I think that's where it's really important to have other business owners that you work with, and this kind of thing is great. Jack and I are very often, well, more me, but picking Jack's brain and going, what do you think about this? And oh my gosh, it's a nightmare at the moment. How do you deal with it?
It's important that everyone realises those like communities exist. Like you can go on Facebook, you can join like a Facebook group, there's other people that you can chat to who are all like-minded.
Yeah,
I think sometimes the hole that people fall in is that there's nobody else like me. I'm in this on my own.
Absolutely.
I'm doing this by myself. There's nobody else to give me that kind of advice.
And especially if you're a sole trader, because you literally are on your own. You haven't got that other person to go, what do you think? Do you like this logo or not?
Yeah.
My poor friends and family, they're like, okay, so have a look at this and give me your feedback.
That is what they're there for.
Yeah, absolutely.
You are on your own in your business per se, but
not in that wider business community.
You're in a huge community.
In Suffolk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, it's brilliant.
That's part of the reason why we decided to build this podcast, because it actually gives Suffolk business owners a platform to describe what they do to a wider audience, and it's just a good opportunity. That's what we wanted to do.
No, I think it's great.
It's good. What advice would you give to? We talked about you potentially going back into police, no struggles. What advice would you give to someone who's listening to this who is a self-employed business owner, who actually thinking about going into another job, full-time employment, they want their 9 to 5, they know what income they're going to get? What advice would you give them?
If you're in the same position as I am, that you are self-employed and you're thinking about, it's too hard, I need to go back, take a step back and actually look at where you've come from. And this was one of the big things that I did. I sat there and actually looked at the last 2 years of my business, and I tracked and produced a graph in Excel. I was quite proud of myself. But I tracked my income and my expenditure and my profit, and I looked at what the business had done in the 2 years. And everything had, my good stuff had doubled. And I kind of sat there and went, okay, so it's been really hard work, but look where I've come. And actually, where do I want it to go? What am I actually achieving what I set out to achieve? So I think it's not always a good thing to look back, but I think sometimes it is, because it can be really helpful to see how far you've come and actually that you are succeeding. Had that graph been going the other way, then I think I'd have been going.
Knowledge is power as well, isn't it? In the sense that you kind of have to evaluate, you have to analyse things that have gone on in the past in order to make good decisions about the future. Because if you can see that's working, that's not working, this is working, then it actually helps you work out a plan. Like if somebody's saying, I want to own a business, but I'm in a 9 to 5, I don't know, actually kind of looking at what your worst case scenarios might be, looking at, next week this might happen, in a year time that might happen, how am I going to maneuver around that? So it being like truly analytical about what could happen and what has happened. Instead of just being like, I want to own business, but I can't.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you have to be really honest with yourself. And I think you have to be brutally honest with yourself. Really strip back all that kind of ego and go, okay, what do I want this business to achieve? If I'm not achieving that at the moment, what steps or how can I achieve that? What do I need to do? Or what will help me to get to where I need to be? But also kind of looking at the wider picture, is someone else doing it, and what are they doing that actually I like and that can help me? Not copying, but just using their models to help yourself.
Because you can't do everything.
No, you can't.
You can't do everything. No. And like only a superhero could probably do everything.
Exactly. And it's where you go, website building, for example. yes, I could probably teach myself how to create a website,
but
that
time
and effort, exactly. Why do that when I've got somebody who I know is going to do that? She's trained, she knows what she's doing, she can build that,
And then what we were talking about earlier is that's when actually some ideas that you hadn't thought of come out.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you're like, okay, yes, this person is seeing it from a different angle than I am. They're kind of bringing all these ideas to the table, which might not necessarily happen if you sat down on Squarespace for like 4 months.
And I think that's where that kind of that honesty comes in, where you sit there and go, actually, I can't do this. I haven't got the right skill set for that. Who do I know, or who do I know who might know somebody else? With the logo design, you can go on and you can pick up a logo and all that sort of thing, can't you? But actually, having somebody else look at it with a designer's eye. For example, with the Keep Well logo, there was something that I wasn't happy with, so we sort of discussed it, and then we tried that, and we're like, actually, no, that doesn't work right. Let's try this. Let's try this. Let's try this. And you get there in the end. And so I think with that whole, do I stay or do I jump back to employment? If that's what you want, then fine, crack on. But is there also that happy medium? Could you do your self-employed work for maybe 3 days a week and have a couple of days employed work?
No one's telling you just to do one or the other.
No, absolutely. And, that worked for me for a few months when I first left the police. But that wasn't going to work for me longer term because I was just being pulled in too many directions. But again, it's that honesty. It's what do you want, and why are you doing what you're doing? Why am I self-employed? Why am I massaging and teaching Pilates, etc.? Why am I doing that? And once you know why you're doing something, you find your driver, and from there you kind of get your motivation and you kind of get re-energized, don't you? And
we talk to people and we say, what is your why? Simon Sinek, have you read his book Start With Why? So it's like, what is your why? And then they say, well, obviously to make a certain amount of money. I go, but why do you want to make that money? Or to be with my family, but why do you want? And then you start to really find out what their values are. And as soon as you know your values, as soon as you know why you are doing something, then I think, like you said, that super evaluative mindset comes from it, and then you're able to actually build upon that.
Absolutely, it's really important.
What's next? I mean, we don't like 5-year plans because everything can change.
Do you know what?
In a matter of a month.
I don't like a week plan.
And this is one thing that I really have fallen down on. I do not have a business plan, which a lot of people will absolutely tell me, just go, what the hell are you doing? That is your number one failure.
Restricts you, if anything.
Don't agree with them.
So I don't have a business plan. What is next is launching Keep Well and moving that forward. It's streamlining my business to make it as efficient as possible, so that I'm using my time wisely. I think the one thing that I've really learned is that my time is really valuable.
Time's money.
Well, it is, but it's also really valuable as an asset. If I want to give you my time, actually, that's a really big thing.
Of course.
So actually, I want that time to spend with family. I've got 2 young nieces, and I want to be able to go, actually, do you know what? I'm not going to work that afternoon. I'm going to take the kids to the park.
100%.
Or whatever that might be. So it's about moving my business forward in terms of continuing to increase the revenue, increase my profit, but at the same time, making it more efficient. So I'm not running here, there, and everywhere. I work out of a number of locations, which is great, but actually the time that I spend traveling between those locations is lost time. So I've started listening to podcasts in those times. Might listen to the Suffolk Business one. You never know.
That's a big one.
But it's those finding time in those places that is kind of my priorities really over the next few months, certainly.
To wrap up, where can people find you?
So I'm all over the social.
I love it.
So everything at the moment is under KW Sports Massage or variations of, but basically most of my stuff is done on Facebook. The business page is KW Sports Massage, but I'm on Twitter a little. Instagram is a growing area that I'm working hard on. I keep following these guys called Media Bros who keep banging on about Instagram, so I'm on there. I am on LinkedIn, and obviously I have got a website currently, which is kwsportsmassage.co.uk. moving forward, and hopefully by the time this is launched, you'll be looking for Keep Well. And the website for Keep Well is www. obviously keep-well.uk. There is no co in it, so it's keep-well.uk.
I like the UK because it's like more like UK. Keep Well, UK.
Yeah.
There we go.
There you go.
Jade,
Check you out.
well done.
Lastly, as well, one last question, and something that we're going to ask all the guests. Obviously, you're the first one.
Now you're making me nervous.
Yeah.
Big.
What is the best thing about running a business? Running a business, and B, running a business in Suffolk as well.
I think for me, it's my clients. In my business, someone comes to me with chronic pain. If I can reduce that or take it away and help them to be in control of that, that's the best thing for me. Seeing someone walk out, standing taller, or being able to move better, or just feeling better for having had that time. Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing.
That's a good answer.
Yeah.
Cool. Kerry Wheeler, keep well.
Yes.
Keep
Thank
well.
you very much.
Thanks ever so much, guys.
Cheers.